everyone. My name is Aureolua Bello, and this is the Nape YP Energy Pulse. And a very warm welcome to everyone joining us across Nigeria and beyond. This is the Nape April Technical and Business Meeting, and I need to tell you something right away. Before this session is over, every single one of you would be making a live drilling decision. But the question is, are you ready? Anyways, first, let me introduce you to someone who would either help you get that right or we have to find out. So, our speaker is Mr. Doug Halland Hansen, the Global Exploration Advisor at EMGS, who has spent his career making the invincible visible in Deepwater. Good day, sir. It's lovely to have you here with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation from NAPI, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. Could you kindly introduce yourself and what you do at EMGS to us, please?
I can. I have worked all my career working in exploration in big, super major companies and smaller Norwegian companies. I've been using this EM technology to make discoveries in Norway. Since 2018, I figured out I'd like to be part of actually helping the whole industry of using this technology, and I joined EMGS. And I essentially travel the world, talk with companies in different regions how to improve their exploration workflow by doing a multi-physical approach. EM is a technology that came 20 years ago, developed by Equinor and Exxon at the time. It was sold as a silver bullet. That was incorrect. It has now matured to technology that could be readily used by the companies to help find oil and gas. And I would say it's not since 2018/2020 that this technology has been ready for Nigeria. And it's really because the processing technology has evolved so much with full waveform inversion and including TTI inversion that we can solve the resistivity picture in this fold and thrust belt, which earlier were giving us processing artifacts.
Thank you very much for that brief introduction, sir. So, Mr. Dang, I would like us to throw it back a little bit, say in 2004. So, someone acquires the CSEM data, which is the controlled source electromagnetic data, over the PPL 3011 block in Deepwater, Nigeria. Then that data spent over 20 years in what I imagine to be a very expensive digital archive. So, what has changed, and why is this a moment to go back to that?
So, I mean, going back, Shell was an early proponent of this technology, and they have been helping us develop the technology. They acquired EM in 2004 and 5. They actually made a few discoveries as been presented, but the technology for processing at the time meant that it couldn't account for the anisotropy you're getting in steep dips. And it's not until 2020 when we came up with that solution that can actually do that. So what we have done before, that would always have processing artifacts that could misguide you on resistivity. Now, when we have that capability, we're able to go back in this data. The acquisition data is good quality, and now the processing is up to par. And only now can we really make a benefit of this in Nigeria. And that's why we're going back to this old data. Companies are approaching us for multi-client, and we're seeing prospects that we haven't been able to see before.
Thank you so much. So that explains the leap in inversion algorithm, the cost comparison of the reprocessing versus the new acquisition, and why it is now commercially compelling in this tight capital environment. So thank you very much for that. And our second question would be for the non-geophysicist in the room, because I know they would also watch this. So the question is, can you give us the simple version? I mean, seismic already shows us the shape of underground structures. So, what does CSEM actually add to that picture?
So CSEM, which means controlled source electromagnetics, is an geophysical technique similar to seismic. We use nodes on the bottom and a source. The difference from seismic is that we are using electricity or electromagnetic source, which we send through the surface and measure in the receivers on the seabed. And on the basis of that, you will get a resistivity volume. So if you compare that with logs, this is your resistivity versus your velocity log. And in logs, you would use resistivity to map saturation. And that's what we are able to provide. We provide a saturation map of the subsurface. So where seismic maps your envelope, your reservoir, we will be mapping the fluid fill, the size of the fluid, and indirectly the reservoir quality of that fluid or that reservoir.
Oh, I think I get it now. So it means that when seismic is used to see the shape, but CSEM can be used to show the content. So
Yes,
the resistivity difference is between hydrocarbons and salt water.
that's correct. So when a reservoir is filled with brine, it is conductive.
Oh, okay.
And then as you fill up that reservoir with hydrocarbons, it becomes more and more resistive. And the better reservoir quality in the high column, the more resistive it will be. And that contrast is what we measure.
Thank you so much for that. So, taking us back to the 2004 data, when you ran that data through the modern 3D TTI inversion, what did that data reveal that the old processing couldn't?
So that data revealed a resistivity volume that is consistent with the geologic model to begin with, and also show that some of the mapped leads in the area are likely filled with hydrocarbons, while other leads are not filled with hydrocarbons. So it's guiding the companies we've been working with to identify the right prospect to drill up front, and that would be the larger with a better reservoir quality. So it's actually telling Nigerian geoscience community there are some significant jewels out there in the deep water that are yet to be drilled, and I think this is just the beginning.
That is just the very beginning. So, moving on, the 3D TTI inversion applied to 2D legacy data. So, from like a subsurface imaging standpoint, is this approach practical for independent and frontier operators across Niger Delta, or does it require like a major budget for that to happen?
Going back and reprocessing legacy data is a very inexpensive way. The full waveform inversion we apply is not anywhere near the cost of full waveform inversion in seismic. We are talking in hundreds of thousands, not the millions. So it's very reasonable. Acquiring new data, that is stepping it up. Independents can do that. This is, depends on the water depth, but we're talking some several $1 million to do a survey. But it will highlight where to drill, and definitely a small company cannot afford to drill many dry wells in deep offshore. So you would like to ensure that by making sure that you drill discoveries.
I get that. That is a very valid one. So, the data you've been working on in Deepwater, Nigeria is real. But what is that single message you want every person to understand, whether a geoscientist, whether an investor, a student, a decision maker? What would you like them to know about that data you've been working on in Deepwater, Nigeria?
What I want to for everyone to know is that when you go into frontier exploration, it is high risk, and the AVO is ambiguous. We see that also in Nigeria. This is another tool that would help not only de-risk your prospect portfolio, but also find those reservoirs where you have a sufficient reservoir quality to actually produce and make a commercial discovery. So we would accelerate the production of Nigeria and enabling arrest that decline.
That is a very good one, sir. Lastly, I would like to ask, because I particularly enjoyed your presentation whilst you were doing that. So I would like to ask, what is the final message you have or you were not permitted to say when you were addressing the entire stage? Do you have any other thing for us, sir?
Me being from Norway, seeing what we've done on the oil industry in Norway, Nigeria being even richer on oil than
Yeah.
Norway, what I see that, I mean, we've been applying this technology more over all of Norway, have the support from regulator, oil companies. Looking at the Norwegian shelf and how much we discovered, I think there's significant potential in the shelf in Nigeria for smaller discoveries. Using this technology, we define those. But what we don't have in Norway, which you have here, is that significant deep water offshore exploration potential. And EM will help you find the right areas to drill first so you can put that initial platform that could develop the whole area. and you have a huge resource base, as I see it, in the deep offshore. Wish I could be part of that, but I wish you luck on that. We would really would be wanting to be part of helping you out on finding that.
Well, we would love your assistance. So thank you so much. Um, thank you for this. You've done something rare for us today, and everyone here, including those who will be watching this later, you made Deepwater geophysics feels like a thriller, and then you've reminded us that in exploration, the next discovery requires may not require a new vessel or a new survey. It just simply requires the courage to look again with better tools and sharper eyes. So thank you so much, Mr. Dag, for doing this with us. And on that note, we come to the end of the NAPE Energy Pulse for the month of April. Once again, thank you for coming, sir. And I look forward to doing this with you some other time. My name remains Orolu Abelo, and then see you next month.
Thank you very much. We will be having a survey starting in Q4. Hope to come back and show the results and that be the initiator of deepwater production soon to come.
We can't wait to have you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.